everyone. It is Tuesday, July 30th, and it was day 6 of 49ers training camp today, and I was there once again. So let's go through some of the updates from today's practice. It was a pretty long practice. There was even a fight. There were one-on-ones. Plenty of interceptions, as you guys might have heard about by now. But first, before we talk about the interceptions and Brock Purdy, let's talk about some of the guys who did not practice today. Of course, Trent Williams, Brandon Ayuk continue to, wait for their respective extensions, and so they're still not practicing. Let's get to the positional updates here, starting with quarterback. Brock Purdy, named number 28 on the NFL Top 100. That is his first time making the NFL 100 list. Unfortunately, the day didn't get much better after that. He did have 3 interceptions yesterday, and he started off strong today. I think he was kind of just taking what the defense gives him. I think he was trying to be a little safer with the ball, being maybe a little more conservative, taking some short throws here and there. But he also had a beautiful throw to CMC. It was in the bucket towards the left sideline. CMC caught it over his shoulder. It probably would have been a sack from Jordan Elliott before Purdy made that throw, but nevertheless, it was a nice connection from those two. But after that, Brock Purdy threw 4 interceptions, including 2 in a row. I had a terrible view at today's practice. That is my bad. So I can't really speak on the first interception that took place, but on the second one, he was targeting Debo. He threw it behind him, and so that was an easy one. I think that was the Jair Brown one. And so Jair Brown was right there in lockstep with Debo, and it kind of just, ended up in his arms. The third one, that was George Odom's interception. That would have been a sack from Fred Warner in a real game situation. But in any case, I don't put too much stock in what would have been a sack in practice when the quarterback still has an opportunity in these training camps to make a play on the ball. And so Brock Purdy, he rolled out to the left after the would-be sack from Fred Warner. I wasn't sure if he was able to get proper footing or anything like that, or if he threw off his back foot, but suffice to say, he was targeting Juwan Jennings deep along the left sideline. There were at least 2 defenders there that I saw. It was thrown up pretty high. Juwan Jennings had a high point it. And look, was it a risky throw? Yes. Did Juwan Jennings at one point have 2 hands touching the ball? Also, yes. So it was risky, but I feel it's a play that could have been made. In any case, Juwan Jennings wasn't able to hold on to it. Like I said, he had a high point it. Ball fell. Ended up in the arms of George Odom, who was right there. So that's just a little additional context that I had on that one. The 4th interception, Purdy threw the ball as his guard was pretty much, getting pushed into his lap. So I think that affected the throw. I don't know if everyone had a view of that, but from my vantage point, the guard was getting pushed towards Purdy. And as soon as I saw that ball go out, I was like, I don't think he had his full footing on that one. And sure enough, when I saw it get intercepted, I was like, yeah, that is the context I can provide on Purdy's interceptions today. Still not ideal, still not great, but it's Purdy. I think we know in real game situations, he's not always going to be throwing this many interceptions. As far as the number 2 spot, I have a hard time feeling like Joshua Dobbs is going to make this roster. And I only say that because I think there's a decent chance that the 49ers go forward with 2 quarterbacks. And I think that second quarterback's probably going to be Brandon Allen just because he looks comfortable. Of course, second year already in the system. And Joshua Dobbs just continues to have his moments where he doesn't look quite comfortable. He's a little shaky. There still seems to be some miscommunication. And so he actually ended his day with a thrown interception to Ambry Thomas. And so, yeah, just Dobbs still having a tough go out there. As for the running backs, Christian McCaffrey was back at practice. And, of course, that provided the offense with a boost today in 11-on-11s. I think the running backs mostly had a tough time finding some space beyond the line of scrimmage. But I will say this, they all looked good in pass-catching situations. As I mentioned, Christian McCaffrey had that deep catch from Brock Purdy. And even in one-on-ones, there were some spirited battles between the running backs and some of the defenders, particularly D. Winters. But Elijah Mitchell and JP were able to gain separation pretty naturally in one-on-ones. So, yeah, I feel pretty strongly about this group of running backs and just the depth that's behind Christian McCaffrey and their pass-catching ability. I think that's definitely a plus. As far as the wide receivers, Debo, Juwan Jennings continue to get a lot of targets in practice. In fact, Debo had a would-be touchdown going up against Isaac Yiadom, who got beat pretty early in that route. And so that was a good play from, I believe that was thrown from Purdy. And today was the first time that Ricky Pearsall got some work in 11-on-11s. He had a catch down the middle of the field from Brandon Allen. Another pass from Tanner Mordecai that he couldn't hang on to as he was coming down with the ball. It was when he kind of had a high point. Just couldn't come down with it. He definitely had a shot too, but, just broke some focus there. And just my 2 cents, I would put Trent Taylor and maybe even Danny Gray ahead of Ronnie Bell right now in this wide receiver group. I just haven't seen a whole lot out of Ronnie Bell. I don't feel like he's getting targeted as much as some of those other guys. Like Danny Gray continues to get peppered with targets in team periods. So I feel like that's good for him. Ronnie Bell, I just don't see too much of. And when it comes to catching punts between Trent Taylor, Ricky Pearsall, and Ronnie Bell, I mean, I'd say Trent Taylor and Ricky Pearsall look the most comfortable. Ronnie Bell continues to, drop some here and there. So there was one drop from today that I saw him have, and I know he's dropped some others in practice as well. So, yeah, I would just say that he's maybe not his natural spot for him, and so I think I'd have others ahead of him at this point in the depth chart. So Tariq Owens had a touchdown from Brandon Allen today towards the end of practice, and that's awesome because, I was just thinking to myself, Tariq Owens is not someone that I've seen or, heard his name called on too many times, but he had that touchdown today, and he was able to gain some separation before that throw was made, so that was a pretty impressive play from him. As far as the tight ends, George Kittle was back at practice today. He caught a couple of passes in team periods. I'd say, easy, Logan Thomas probably going to be the TE2. But as far as the third tight end on this roster, I think Eric Sauber probably has an edge over Cam Latu or Braden Willis. I would just want to see more consistency from Latu and Willis. It hasn't been all bad, but it just also hasn't been all good. They'll have some good plays and then they'll have some bad, or vice versa. So I just need either one of those guys to create some separation in this battle and just stack some days. I mean, right now it could be either one of those guys, so it's just hard to say at this point. As far as the offensive line, Jake Brendel did return to practice, so the first team offensive line did look better. I thought Jalen Moore did a better job today against Nick Bosa, and even against Leonard Floyd, he held up pretty well. So good for Jalen Moore. Dominic Pooney continues to work with the ones, and he continues to look the part. I see no reason why he can't, beat out Spencer Burford for the right guard spot. So if he keeps this up, he has to keep it up. But so far, we're in pads. I mean, he's looking pretty good against some of these really good defensive linemen. Speaking of those defensive linemen, Nick Bosa back at practice. He looked like himself. As far as the defensive line as a whole, probably not as dominant as yesterday, but still a strong day from them. Austin Bryant is someone I'm consistently seeing getting pressure. I saw a couple of nice plays from him, as well as Kevin Givens. And as far as the linebackers go, Fred is Fred. He's full of energy out there. And D. Winters, like I said, he had some good matchups with guys in one-on-ones. He even beat out CMC on a rep, so that was pretty impressive. And as far as the DBs go, Deommodore Lenoir is everywhere. He is everywhere. He had another pick today, of course, as I mentioned. He also had a pass breakup on Purdy, a pass that was intended to Kyle Juszczyk. And he also, on the sidelines during drills, he's attached to Brandon Staley's hip right now. You guys have seen the videos of Brandon Staley giving him pointers in practice. That is an everyday occurrence, at least in the practices I have been to, where they're having these like one-on-one teaching moments, and you can see like Lenoir is loving it. Like he's soaking up this game right now, and even during team periods, he was standing next to Brandon Staley, and they're talking and kind of going through some things. So yeah, I'm really loving that so far, and what Brandon Staley could do for Lenoir. And obviously something is working, because Lenoir has been having a great camp so far. Really can't wait for Brandon Ayuk to be back in these practices so we can see him and Lenoir, because we know they've had some really great battles in the past. Another thing of note, Renardo Green, rookie corner, did not practice today. I guess we didn't get an update as to why that is, and so something to keep an eye on going forward. Hopefully it is nothing serious. And the last update of the day, you waited this long, saving the best for last. Jake Moody, he made all of his kicks today. He's only missed one in all of camp. So Jake Moody is off to a hot start here at 49ers 2024 training camp. But that is all for today, day 6, July 30th. I'll be back at tomorrow's practice, Wednesday, so make sure you guys tune in for the next update when that drops. But for now, peace.